Instagram on the Sling Consultancy, and over on Facebook in the community. So, hello, I am Zoe, the Sling Consultancy, and I'm here, Top Tip Tuesday, to talk about meeting their needs. And it's something I talk about to clients and people that have time at Sling Library with me, and I share lots of things around the science in sort of little meme format on my Instagram. And so I just thought I would take a little bit of time today to talk about what does that mean. So your newborn is totally helpless and has no knowledge of the world apart from you. It is born primed to want to be on you, and your baby's brain is so primitive that it just knows that it will survive if it's on a human body. And a really easy way to do that is just to hold them. So meeting their needs is not just about feeding them and then hoping you put them down and that they'll stay there, because most of the time that doesn't happen. And I think huge leap around parenting is just about adjusting your expectations around actually what is reality with a newborn baby, because invariably we get caught up in all the capitalist ways of the world that we live in, sadly, and that means that we buy lots of stuff for our baby and we focus hugely on the birth, and we fail to think about what we're going to do with our baby in those first few weeks, months, even years. So what is your approach to parenting going to be? How are you going to get through each day with a child that potentially is not going to want to be put down? And that seems to come as a shock. We get a lot of people at Sling Library, babies 6 weeks old, and they're in a really difficult place because they are finding it so hard because they just can't do anything without their baby. And that is normal for your baby. Your baby's brain is so primitive and they are not matched. Their biology doesn't match our expectations in westernized societies. And I was reading a really interesting piece, The Anthropology of Infant Sleep, around why is that and what's changed in our westernized worlds. And it's mainly because of the medical model and the way that medicine and medical world have taken and helped shape parenting in a fairly negative way, potentially, because actually baby's biology is not set up to be separate from the mother, essentially, or at least another human. And so what the Sling can do is it brings you back together. It makes you one unit and makes you whole again. And that means that your baby has to work less hard physiologically to survive. Their body is on your body, so their need for touch and for comfort and safety and survival is already being met. And so what that enables is the connections in the brain to build, because their body isn't having to do all that extra stuff. You're doing that just by holding them. And using the Sling then just means you have your own hands free as well. So then you can go and meet your own needs. You can go to the toilet. You can make your cup of tea or coffee. You can go for a walk. You can hang the washing out. You can tidy up if you want to. You can sit and do nothing. You can binge watch Netflix. But you are meeting your baby's needs without really thinking about it in a way. That's what I love about Slings, is that you can meet their needs and your own, whereas it can feel a bit like a fight between your needs and their needs. And it's like, oh, but I just want to put you down because I've been holding you all morning and you're fast asleep, and then I put you down and you wake up. And it's really hard and it's really frustrating. And I remember with my eldest having to shut the bedroom door and walk away because I was just like, oh. And then I went back and I held her and I cuddled her, and we butchered and repaired, and we repaired that difficult moment that we had. And it is really about trying to get over those expectations that are perhaps massively not kind of in line with reality, and also understanding that what you do in those first weeks, months is really important for their lifelong brain development. And I don't think we talk about that enough, that by doing what you're doing, you are setting them up for much, much more around their brain development and success in life later on. You're building their immune system, you are building their stress systems in a way that allows them to be the most adaptable that we can be as human beings. And we have evolved through being carried. Our brains evolved through being carried, and it's totally normal in most of the world for babies to be with their caregivers 99.9% of the time. And capitalist societies don't work in that way, because we need people to buy stuff, and essentially most of the stuff that's on those lists that say these are your must buys for your baby are replacing you. And that's quite sad, really. And some of those tools are really helpful sometimes when we need them, but really what those very new babies just need is you, and that's really hard to give that over. We do it in pregnancy without maybe thinking about it a huge amount, and that doesn't stop as soon as they're born. They're still massively helpless. And we know that that babies need carrying. We carry them around in our arms a lot of the time, and that's really great, because carrying in arms is hugely adaptable, and we adjust their position a lot more. And but it's not always possible to do that all the time, and a sling can just be that useful tool so that you can then have your hands free to do other things. So I just wanted to say, I know it's hard. I have been there 3 times, and each time the sling has just been a tool that we have used more and more and more, because it becomes essential. It becomes a lifesaver, really. And that contact, you are doing so much without even really realizing it for your baby. And so, you know, there's lots of different terms around, you know, meeting their needs: responsive parenting, gentle parenting, attachment parenting. You don't have to put yourself into sort of a lovely square box around what you choose to do for your child, but to allow them to be who they are, but to meet their needs in a way that is respectful and compassionate is really, really key for their brain development and setting them up for lifelong success. We know that if they don't get that in the first 2 months of their life, then that's really difficult to build upon, because the brain builds in a bottom-up way. So you need the really good, strong foundations early, and the rest can build, specifically parts that relate to the higher thinking brain, dealing with emotion. Those things they come a lot later, but if you don't have the good structure in place, then they can't be built very strongly. So those systems aren't as robust. You know, your baby's brain is making billions of new connections all the time. And yeah, just to say, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Listen to your instincts. The reason why it feels right when your baby's here and smelling your baby is because that's kind of what we're meant to do as humans, and it activates all our hormones to make us be better at doing that, being responsive to our young, because we know that's going to be more likely to increase the survival rates of the human race. So I would love to talk about this stuff all day. So if anybody wants me to talk about it, I am happy to. It's a huge passion of mine around the science, because I think, for me at least, I like to know the why. And once you understand the why, it can make your life just feel easier, even though maybe it isn't easier. So when I know that what I'm doing makes a difference long term, even though maybe it doesn't feel it in the moment, like, you can keep your eyes on that bigger goal around what you want for your child, in terms of their lifelong physical, mental health. Not to say that it's not important for our mental health too, because it's inextricably linked, just like feeding and sleep and carrying. Like, it's really difficult to separate all these things out, because they all work together to create this whole amazing unit where we are better and stronger. So I hope you find that useful, and any questions, just let me know.